Order 66 is probably the most widely recognized order in all of Star Wars, probably one of the most widely recognized scenes in all of Star Wars. It was the ultimate revenge of the Sith to finally wipe out the Jedi Order for good, turning their own army against them, and to restore the Sith to their former glory. But what about the other orders, and how are they different and much worse than Order 66? These orders will be taken for both canon and legends. And also, before I get to the orders, I just want to make clear that I will not be covering all the orders, but rather the orders that were just as bad, if not worse, than Order 66. Starting off with Order X. Like Order 66, well in Legends at least, this order was taught to the clones at a very young age. This order stated that if a planet wanted to leave the Republic and become an independent planet or join the Separatist Alliance, to do a planet-wide bombardment and destroy everything, including the citizens. There was to be no survivors or anything left of the planet. This was to make sure that the Republic's enemies did not use the resources that were found on the planet. But it is unclear if it was ever used, because I personally don't think that the Senate would ever approve on this horrific act. Next order is Order 151. Now, unlike most of the other orders on this list, Order 151 was actually never used during the Age of the Republic, but rather during the Age of the Empire. From what we know about it, it was the order to kill Darth Vader should he ever pose a threat to the Empire. Unfortunately, we don't know much about it besides from that, but we do know Darth Vader would eventually find out about this event after becoming suspicious of Palpatine, and in typical Vader fashion, after he found out the answer, he would kill the clone who told them. But the clones were only to act on this order if Palpatine himself told them to. It was not like Order 66 where they heard it and instantly clicked in their brain. Luckily though, Vader would not have to worry about this problem for long, because eventually the clones would be faded out to stormtroopers, but he would never forget that order. This next order is extremely iffy because we actually don't know what it means. It was only ever mentioned once by a clone, and that's about it. But I'm going to include it anyway because it could be something as bad as Order 37. And speaking of Order 37, what is it? Well, this order was probably the worst order of them all. And once you learn what it is, you're going to start to question the Senate's logic on this. Order 37 was used by the clones to make mass arrests in a population in order to capture a single individual. They would do this because if the wanted fugitive was to escape on a planet and hide there in the population, the clones would have permission to execute this order and capture/execute the entire population if needed to find the person they wanted. And once every member in the city was rounded up, they were given two choices. One, give up the wanted individual and walk out of their life, or two, be executed for treason. In order to make sure there was no interruption, they would also jam all communication to and from the location. And if any people were killed during this order, they would actually never be released to their families or even be told what happened, in order for the Republic not to pay any compensation for their treachery. And on top of that, there was to be no documentation, video, picture, or journal ever allowed to be made, even if it was just a personal one. If there was, the person who was caught would be tortured and eventually executed by the clones. This method would actually be used by the Empire to lure out surviving Jedi during the Purge, and it would work, capturing several Jedi. This next order could have been the downfall of Palpatine, but he knew it was necessary in order to divert any suspicions away from the orders. Order 65 was to be issued if the majority of the Senate agreed that the Supreme Chancellor was unfit or even treasonous to the Republic. This order made it so that if any clone who heard the order had the authority to capture the Supreme Chancellor, if possible, or if necessary, kill them. And if this order was ever fulfilled, all power and authority would be handed down to the Vice Chairman until a new Chancellor could be elected. And like Order 66, the Jedi were aware of this order in Legends and chose to do nothing about it, which is mainly the reason Order 65 existed. But now, time for the most dangerous of all of these orders. Order 67. This order was only ever executed one time, but after realizing the terrible mistake he just made, Palpatine would quickly reverse it to Order 66. But what was Order 67? Order 67, from what we know, was the order for all clones to cease fighting or whatever they were doing and just dance. This is the reason Palpatine never used it, because he knew not even a Sith Lord such as himself could resist the magnificent grooves of the clones. Luckily, in the LEGO Skywalker Saga game, we get to see a glimpse of what orders could have done to the Republic. After looking at all these orders, Order 66 doesn't seem that bad now, certainly not as bad as 67 or 37. But that is every order worse than 66. What are your thoughts on this topic? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed today's video, please feel free to like and subscribe to me. It really means a lot to me. And with that, my fellow Star Wars nerds, may the Force be with you.